What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show presented by Sleeper. Today, your Portland Trail Blazers have the most brutal loss of the season so far as they lose off a fadeaway buzzer-beating three from Desmond Bane after making two completely boneheaded mistakes in crunch time. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your Monday other than whatever this crap fest was. And if you're new to the channel, if you found the channel since last season, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I'm probably going to annoy a few people in this one because I'm pretty ticked off at what we just watched, at what we just witnessed, at some of the mistakes down the stretch, and honestly, the entire game. Blazers had no business winning this game, but neither did the Magic because they tried to pull off an absolutely epic choke job, including three brutally missed free throws from Paolo Banchero to leave the door open for the Portland Trail Blazers, but the Blazers said, nope. You guys should win this game. That's essentially what we just watched down the stretch. I'm pissed. I'm going to use this as a venting session. Feel free to do the same in our live chat because I don't know if an ending to a game has pissed me off as much as this one has in many years. And I guess there's a good and a bad thing to that. The good thing is we actually have expectations of this Blazer team this year. So I am personally more invested in this team. But when they lose like this, it just makes it even worse. That was absolutely brutal. Shout out to Jakob, 20 Norwegian Crony donation, says, God, I need a Tory rant right now. Oh, just you wait. I will rant on this one. We'll talk about the good. We'll talk about the bad. And we're going to need to vent. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Oh, awesome. Yeah, just awesome. Did you tweet?
Nope.
Okay. You put it in Discord like it was a tweet.
Yeah, just copy paste it.
No, I already tweeted because I didn't see it, but then I saw.
Try to get rolling here while the emotions were still
high. Yeah, this is the first game in a long time. I was like on my feet pacing the last couple of possessions. Yeah, ready to like. The Jeremy play happened so quick, it was like hard to react to it because it was like hard to see the ball go through the hoop. And then, yeah, so many like weird plays in this game, man. It was just, I was getting ready to talk about all these things, and then we'd pull out that miracle play, the lob to Jeremy. It was like a great play out of the timeout, gives yourself a chance if you miss it to foul and get another chance to tie. And then, man, Drew with just three horrible turnovers in the fourth quarter, just giving the ball right to the Magic. Brutal, man.
Yeah,
brutal.
Yeah. So we just saw pretty dumb basketball all game long, but especially at the end there, man. Especially at the end. Like, from everything from the rotations where you have Sissoko, Murray, and Klingon in the game, three non-shooters, but you're still having Murray and Sissoko camp behind the three-point arc, even though neither of those dudes can shoot. Well, Sissoko made a three today. I guess we'll celebrate that, just like we celebrate every 1 out of 5 games that Chris Murray makes a three. So good for Sissoko. He made a three. But, from the offense to the defense in the first half was some of the dumbest defense I've ever seen. I know people will point to, like, look how many free throws they shot. That wasn't the refs. You guys know I'll sit here and complain about the refs. That was Portland just being completely unsound defensively in the first half. I'll get into that. But we got to start with the end of the game because the Blazers started locking up defensively late in this game. We've seen that. When the Blazers lock in defensively, they play pretty damn good defense. Unfortunately, in the half court, where the Blazers rank as maybe a slightly above average defense this year, not as good as they probably should be, they've had stretches where they just don't lock in mentally. And we saw that throughout this game for stretches. Orlando is a team that's struggled offensively for years. They did get Desmond Bane, and he won them this game tonight. But it was a Orlando team that struggled in the first half offensively. The Blazers bailed them out by sending them on a parade to the free throw line with their own defensive mistakes. But Orlando, down the stretch, doesn't score for like the final 3 minutes before that buzzer beater, or before that Paolo Banchero and one layup. All right. So the Blazers come back, have that great inbounds play to Jeremy. Great design, great pass by Tamani, great finish by Jeremy, knocks down the free throw. And this is after a stretch where Shaedon Sharpe had some good moments, but also missed multiple crunch time free throws. The Blazers get up 2 with 11 seconds left, okay? When you're up 2 in the final 10 seconds of a game, you don't want to give up any easy and ones, and you don't want to give up any three-point shots. That's a cardinal sin. That's how you lose. That's how you find a way to lose in an idiotic way, right? You just don't foul, and if you're going to foul, you don't let them score and ones, and you don't give up threes. Orlando inbounds the ball to Paolo Banchero. I don't know what the hell happened to Tamani Kamara, but he got completely out of position. Completely out of position.
Was coming from the left side, but
completely out of position. Yeah.
Yeah, he jumps it, and Franz doesn't screen, and then he just gives up a wide open lane down the middle.
Which I'll just say, like, if it's Franz or you got a bunch of length on the court anyway, defensively, you switch that anyways. Like, you don't want to overreact and jump out that way. That was just a boneheaded play by Tamani. But then Paolo Banchero has a lane right down to the rim. He's 6'10", he's 240 pounds, he's a freight train to the rim, okay? You're up 2. The last thing you do is let him walk to the rim. Then once he gets to the rim, you foul him for an easy and one. And that's exactly what the Blazers did, okay? That's exactly what the Blazers did, which was just the dumbest thing you could do in that situation.
He ends up missing the free throw, so I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, you just let him dunk it at that point.
You literally gave him a wide open lane to the rim and then fouled him once he got there for an easy and one. That was like one of the worst crunch time defensive plays by the Blazers that I think I've ever seen. You know what I mean? That was literally the last thing you could do. The last thing you should do is give up an easy and one on a wide open lane to the rim for Paulo freaking Banchero. But they did that. But Banchero seemed to get the yips at the free throw line in crunch time. He missed 3 clutch free throws to keep the Blazers in this game. 3 clutch free throws. So shout out to Banchero. He was doing his best to help the Blazers get a win there. Portland, so he misses the free throw. So it's still a tied game with 5 seconds left. If you are tied with the shot clock off, the other team should never get another shot. Never, ever, ever get a shot at the rim. Especially when you have 5 seconds left. Like, it's not hard to find a way to get the last shot. Shoot. You could throw it into the backcourt and hold it and shoot it from 50 feet. That is better than what the Portland Trail Blazers did, which was run the inbounds play where somebody's coming to the ball and he's denied. So then Drew has to come to the ball. It's almost a 5-second call. He gets the ball and tries to split the inbounder and his own defender and turns it over. And Orlando has 2 seconds left. Stupid. There is absolutely no way when you have the ball, 5 seconds left in the game, in a tie game, that you lose in regulation. There is absolutely no way, no excuse for that whatsoever. It was on Drew. It was also on the coaching staff because while they had a great design to Jeremy Grant, you can't just run a player at the ball. And it was just a completely broken inbounds play. And we see that so much under Chauncey Billups. And I guess, we saw that today from Thiago. But dude, you literally, if you're Drew, don't try and split 2 defenders with 5 seconds left. You have time. You don't have to rush. Take care of the ball. You're a 36-year-old veteran with championship experience. That was frustrating as hell to see from a vet like that make that type of mistake in that situation. And then Orlando has a timeout, so they advance the ball, and then Desmond Bane hits an insane shot. You know what's annoying, Eric? There's a tie game, and I lost a rec league playoff game last week off literally the same exact shot. Running that way, fading out of bounds.
Shot, right?
Fading out of bounds. Like, literally, it was like a carbon copy to what I lost to last week in a rec game, and I've been pissed off about that, man, because I'm competitive like that, right? At the end of the day, this was maybe the, worst the Blazers have looked from a coaching department. And like I said, I'm going to give Thiago some leeway. But if this was Chauncey, I'd absolutely be killing him for the way this game was played. Because you got down They couldn't hit shots in the first half, and their offense was so clunky. Was so clunky in the first half. But the Blazers were losing because they were being over physical, being handsy, and fouling constantly. It's like when the other offense can't make threes and their offense is not flowing at all, the last thing you want to do is consistently send them to the free throw line, especially if you're a really good defense. Orlando missing threes should play directly into the Portland's hands where it's like, all right, you're not making threes. We have all these great defenders. We can just play sound in the half court and you're not going to score. Instead, I don't know how many free throws they shot in the first half, but the Blazers sent them to the line constantly in the first half because, oh, we're an aggressive defense. We got to force 20 turnovers or else we might not even, we might as well not win the game if we don't force 20 turnovers. That was the attitude this team had in the first half, and it bailed Orlando out. And then you look at some of the Shaedon Sharpe subs where Shaedon Sharpe's playing great and then gets subbed out of the game. And is he still on a minutes restriction? Somebody needs to ask Tiago, because if he's not, then that's blasphemous when Sharpe gets subbed out of games. It feels completely robotic. There's no flow there from Tiago at all. We're seeing lineups with Klingon, Sissoko, and Murray together, which is just an awful shooting lineup, especially against a defense with length that can pack the paint. That's why Denny struggled all game, because he has no shooting around him, and he's driving into a bunch of lengthy defenders. The offense got super freaking stagnant. Where's the movement we're talking about? Well, the movement is only sparked by a drive, and there was multiple instances where that was obvious in today's game. And then you just completely blow a comeback like that with... You should have blown it with the foul and one against Banchero, but he bailed you out again. And then you just blow it anyway because you turn over the ball when you're inbounding with 5 seconds left in a tie game. Just so frustrating to see this team lose that way after what was a fun comeback. But honestly, they played really, really bad today. They played really, really bad. And they were in this game. That shows you that this team is better, I guess. But I'm not in the mode where I'm taking moral victories. This is the type of game that you absolutely should have won and you choked. Or you at least should have sent to overtime and made them beat you in overtime. You essentially handed them a golden opportunity, 2 golden opportunities in the final 10 seconds of this game. And Desmond Bane, he capitalized on an insanely tough shot. The last defensive possession was good defense, but you gave them the opportunity. Should have never been in that position in the first place. So... very, very frustrated right now with this loss. This team is 500 again. They were 5-2. They're now 5-5. And they found a way to lose a game. They found a way to lose tonight. They found a way to lose against Miami. They have struggled to close games out the last couple of games, and they need to play smarter, especially defensively. Anyway, that's my rant. I'm just this disgusted me, man. Go ahead.
For the record, they were 5-3. They won their game before these last 2.
Okay, they were 5-3.
Yeah. 4-2 to 5-5.
4-2, 4-3, 5-3, 5-4, 5-5. Yeah.
Regardless,
though, it's another loss against a team on the second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah, we're done with that stretch now. We had 4 games against teams on the second night of a back-to-back when we had at least a day to rest in between, and we were 1-3 in those games. Not good enough.
I'm so like nothing makes me more mad than losing games in the dumbest way possible. The last 10 seconds was so dumb.
Yep. So Tamani gave up. It was all throughout the game. He gave up several. He was getting beat off the dribble. It was almost like they were attacking him off the dribble.
Yeah.
But
his defense isn't good this year.
There was a moment in the first half that completely exemplifies why I am so frustrated with Tamani on the defensive end this year. He gets subbed in the game with a couple minutes left in the second quarter. We're in the penalty. And within a few seconds, he commits an off-the-ball foul, sends him to the line.
Yep.
And good defensive players do not do that crap. You do not get called for offensive foul or off-the-ball fouls when you're in the penalty. You can't be aggressive. It's stupid to hold the guy when he doesn't even have the ball. And it's just stuff like that this year It's just perplexing how he seems to just be way too over aggressive, way too like casual about the way he's going about his business this year. I mean, he did take a charge in the second half. That was a big play, but for the most part, I feel like he's just not. He doesn't have that same grit that he's had in previous seasons, and it's really hurting us on defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. This team on paper has elite defensive personnel. At least just based off reputation and on paper, this defense should be borderline top 5. Okay. In the half court, there was a graph. They were like 12th or 13th. It wasn't like there wasn't numbers next to the team. It was the logos on a graph, right? They were 12th or 13th. Okay. Well, why is that? Why is that? Dumb mistakes. Being over aggressive. Not rotating. Like there's a couple missed rotations in this game, which the Blazers got lucky because they weren't making shots. But I think the biggest issue with this defense is they have gone. They have gotten too aggressive. They have gotten too aggressive. And we've talked about that in previous games. They've gotten too aggressive. In the first half was super frustrating, Eric, because they sent him to the line constantly. And it has the feeling of like, the only way our offense works is if we force turnovers and get out and run. Otherwise, we're stuck playing the half court. And the half court offense just looks messy a lot of the time and looks like a joke, especially when you have Sidney Sissoko and Chris Murray and Donovan Clingan on the floor. So you're so hell-bent on forcing turnovers, and so you're trying to be super physical, you're trying to be super handsy, you're trying to jump into every passing lane, and essentially the defense becomes, we're not going to think, we're just going to try and fly and jump around and just try and be completely chaotic and hope that works. That's what their defense feels like right now. And I talked about it earlier in the season. They need the foundation beneath that, where especially if you're playing a team like Orlando that struggles to play in the half court at times, where their half court offense turns into a complete mess, and they couldn't hit a 3 in the first half, that's when you just settle back to your foundation like, we have Drew Holiday, we have Tamani Kamara, we have Donovan Clingan, Denny Avdia is a good defender, we got Robert Williams off the bench, we got Jeremy Grant off the bench, we got all these defensive players. That's when you fall back to a foundation of, all right, we got all these great defenders and their offense is not working, is not flowing, they're not making threes. We like our odds, just if we play solid defense, to slow down their offense in the first half. And instead it's like, pressure. Oh, Desmond Bane has a wide open drive to the rim because he dribbled past the guy that was pressing him 30 feet away from the rim. And everybody's, trying to play passing lanes so the help defense isn't really set, and then we're going to send him to the line a million times. And it's just not smart. The Blazers have to start playing smart basketball. They are not playing smart basketball right now. And this game was really, really bad in that regard.
Well, so you mentioned the 3 for 17 in the first half. I took a screenshot of the team stats at halftime. So we only had 3 more shots than them, but they got to the line 9 more times, 19-10 in the first half. And I think they were like at least 13-13 at one point from the free throw line in the second quarter. So we were just parading them to the line in that quarter. But how do you you only turn the ball over 2 times and they shoot 9 more free throws than you, and you only get 3 more shots than they do? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, we were playing so bad. It just, I don't know, man. It's frustrating. And then the turnovers come in the second half, and there were brutal live ball turnovers. 2 plays in a row, we lose the ball to Isaac at the top of the key, and they get buckets off of him. And then that one at the end by Drew, man. I don't understand what this team is thinking sometimes. It's so frustrating.
It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. Tiago has a lot to learn. Tiago needs to learn how to mix and match players and lineups. Yeah. Tiago needs to learn when to leave a player in when he's cooking. This is all pretty basic stuff that he struggles with, but he's very, very young. He's very green.
I think it was a little under 8 minutes left. Sharp was cooking. he takes him out and leaves Chris Murray in the game until like 4 minutes left in the game. And Sharp was at 25 minutes. So to your point, maybe he's still on a minutes restriction, even though he was not on the injury list tonight. But if he plays the rest of the game, I think I did the math, he would have been at like just over 32 minutes at the time when he got taken out.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. Like, just play him. Or like if he gets tired or something, take him out in a couple of minutes. But I don't understand the substitutions he's done when we need Shea to get going, and he finally gets going and he's cooking, and then you just take him out.
Yeah.
And like we made some plays during that stretch, but because Denny got hot, and we can talk about some of those calls down the stretch too later on, or non-calls. But it's just, man, it's just frustrating when we're finally like, okay, this is the game. Shea breaks out, like he's got it cooking, and then he doesn't play for a significant portion of the fourth quarter when we need a chance to stay in this game, and then we make the Furious come back at the end. But to me, it's like we're almost doing this in spite of the rotations and stuff like that, how horrible they've been.
Yeah. Yep. Shout out to Jakob. 50 Norwegian Crony donation says, I like Klingon, but he needs to get better at defensive rebound and make himself useful on offense. Not easy for the guards to play with a cone. Yeah, we'll talk about Klingon. Klingon was pretty rough tonight.
What I want to bring up with Klingon, this goes back to our offense. When Klingon's in the game, a majority of the time, we are playing a 4-out offense with Klingon just camped out at the 3-point line. Like, and we're not setting screens. Like we talked about that a couple streams ago. We're not the worst, but we're one of the least on-ball screen teams in the league. And so what are we doing with him? Like, what? He's not around the basket very often until like a shot goes up and he's going for offensive rebounds. But I hate the offense where it's just 4 people standing around the 3-point line watching one person go ISO. And for a majority of this game, that was our offense. And it's really, really frustrating, man. I hate to keep using the word frustrating, but it's frustrating, man. It's just, I'm watching them be like, what? Because Klingon doesn't want to shoot like 10 threes a game, right? So he keeps getting kicked out to him at the 3-point line, and he's not going to shoot every time, and we don't want him to shoot that much anyway. I don't understand why we just have him camped out there so much.
Yeah.
At least have him set off-ball screens or something, move around. They're all just standing there at the 3-point line, Tori.
The offensive system, I have been telling you guys, it's too predicated upon somebody has to drive, and then these guys move depending on where this guy drives. The thing is, when you play against good defenders and you're not able to turn the corner, nobody has to help in all these cuts. Like, teams can game plan for this, right? I think there's a reason why none of these assistants and none of the coaching staff from Memphis last year are still in Memphis, and they got much bigger problems. But all these guys go elsewhere, and I don't know. I don't like the design of the offense, or at least for that to be the majority of your offensive possessions. There was a clip I tweeted out, the Tamani play from last game, the worst ISO of all time. It was tweeted by a cow. It was 4 jab steps in a row, and then he drives middle. If you notice, while he's sitting there, jab step, pump fake, jab step, pump fake, jab step, pump fake, jab step, pump fake. Nobody is moving the entire time. He's sitting there with the ball for 6-7 seconds, and nobody's moving. And it's like he's trying to figure out what to do that entire time, and then it's like he has to drive, because if he doesn't, nothing happens. If he doesn't, literally nothing happens. So the entire offense is like, guy with the ball has to drive, and if he gets in a tough spot because he drives, then we're going to end up turning the ball over. The defense can set up behind it if you're not driving immediately. And the idea of the offense is the ball's supposed to move, right? You're supposed to drive, kick, swing. That guy's going to have a lane because the defense hasn't rotated back yet, and you just constantly play off that motion. But the Blazers have really struggled to initiate that motion. And also, I just don't understand, especially on a team like this, why you're not using more guys as off-ball screeners with your lack of shooting. Because this offense doesn't work well unless you have good shooting, in my opinion. And the Blazers, A, don't have good shooting, and B, they have a couple guys that can break down the defense. But you look at how much worse the team is in certain games when Denny Avdia's out of the game, or even Drew Holiday's out of the game. Because Drew had some rough moments tonight, but he was still a plus 14, right? Like every night, it's like this team with Drew or Denny in the game does well, and then without him on the floor, they're terrible. Last game it was Denny, today it was Drew. And the reason for that is without those guys in the game, and there's stretches where like, it feels like, I don't know if one of those guys played every minute tonight, but there's stretches where one of them's in the game and the other isn't, and it's too much pressure on whichever one of Denny or Drew is in the game to spark the offense creating off the dribble. Jeremy Grant has some good plays off the dribble, but if he can't get all the way to the rim and score off the dribble, then there's really nothing there. And he's done a great job at that, don't get me wrong, but the offense in a way is limited because you don't have motion off the ball where if Klingon catches the ball up top, he can make a read based on some action to the side that is designed to open up some space, whether it's somebody coming off that screen or the screener slipping to the middle of the key. There's no action like that. There's, at least as far as what I've seen, there's no action like that. So it's entirely Klingon catches the ball through the point line. Pump fake, swings to someone, dribble, handoff. And that's like the rare on-ball screen they'll set. And then outside of that, it's standing around waiting for somebody to drive. There was I think it was at the end of the third, or maybe it was at the end of the half, where there was back-to-back possessions where the Blazers just ISO'd and dribbled the ball, and everybody stood around just kind of waiting. The first play was Sharp, and Sharp had a great game today, but there's so many plays where somebody's just dribble, or just holding the ball like Tamani last game and jab stepping 4 times in a row, and everybody else is waiting. And it's a flaw of the system. And as teams continue to scout this system, it's going to give the Blazers fits because teams are getting more prepared for the Blazers' pressure. Teams won't be as turnover prone later on into the season. Being turnover prone is kind of an early season thing because it's early in the season and teams aren't gelling quite yet. So teams are going to be prepared for the pressure. And if you're Portland and you can't force a ton of turnovers, you get stuck playing in the half court, and your half court offense has major design flaws for this roster. And then on the other end, when you're not forcing turnovers, they they get too aggressive when they're not forcing turnovers because they're so hell-bent on trying to force turnovers that they foul a ton, they get backdoor cut, they press up too much and let somebody beat them off the dribble. Basically, their entire team has these stretches where they fall apart because they're not forcing turnovers. And they have talent on this team. That's why they're able to remain competitive. But it goes back to what I said earlier in the season. They need to learn how to play good basketball when they're not forcing turnovers. They need to learn how to play in the half court on both sides of the floor right now because the defense should be better than this in the half court and the offense is super frustrating. If they can't learn how to play in the half court, it's probably going to be a long season. If they can, this team could be really good, which is why stuff like this is so freaking frustrating.
Yeah. It's just the thing that's worrying me the most is just how often we just get beat off the dribble by someone. And it's like good defenders, like we mentioned, Tamani. It's like there was at least 3 times in the fourth quarter where someone like Paulo or Franz took him off the dribble and just got right by him. And that's really concerning to me. And it pretty much is happening to everyone. I mean, we know Shea is not going to stay in front of everyone, but you can't have your best defenders also be getting beaten off the dribble with no screen. It happened way too much in this game.
Way too much. Chad, let me know what you think of this team so far. We're 10 games in, 5-5. It is a tough schedule in terms of the opponents on paper, but opponents have been missing multiple guys. Second nights of back-to-backs. It's not as tough as it seems. I would have taken 5-5 after the first 10 games, not knowing the context of all these games, right? But this team has flaws. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They lost to a very short-handed Laker team. They lost to a very short-handed Miami team. They were favored in both games, and they were 2.5-point underdogs in this game. So, the magic cover on that buzzer beater. I'm having a good picks against the spread day today, at least. But this was a game you should have at least taken to overtime, and you were up 2 with 11 seconds left. You were tied with the ball with 5 seconds left, and you found a way to lose. So I'm not happy with the way this team is playing basketball right now. You were talking about the one win in the stretch. They beat OKC because they got super hot from 3 after being down 22 in the first half at home to a super short-handed OKC team, missing Chet, Dort, Jalen Williams, and Caruso. So I don't think this team is playing good basketball right now. I think compared to where their standards were the last 2 years, they're playing great basketball, but the standard has risen for good reason because this is a roster that is definitely capable of more.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, once again, you can look at. I mean, Orlando doesn't have. What's their record now?
5-6.
5-6. They haven't been particularly good this season, so this isn't like on paper it was like one of our tougher games to start the season, but they haven't been great either. And once again, you can look at our strength of schedule, and it looks really hard, but we've gotten some really good breaks with the way the schedule's been. We mentioned the last 4 opponents have all had back-to-backs, which we did not take advantage of. And then there's also multiple games where the other team's best players were not playing, and we still failed to win most of those games. But you come back from 22 down against OKC, and everyone thinks you've turned the corner and you're going to be a playoff team now. And this is exactly why we weren't, or at least I wasn't super excited after the OKC win, because it did feel like we weren't playing well, even though we won that game.
Yeah. I just got completely distracted because I'm looking at a box score. And there was a player that went 14 for 45 today.
45 shots?
Yeah, 14 for 45.
CJ McCollum?
No. Same game, though. Same game.
Cade?
Yeah.
Cade.
14 for 45, 2 for 11 for 30, man, 16 for 18 from the free throw line. He did have more points than shots.
They ended up winning in overtime, though.
That's insane. He had a triple-double and 5 steals. That's a wild game. Dennis Jenkins had 24 off the bench. That's maybe the box score of the year so far. Because CJ had 42. Anyway. Sorry, I could not focus after seeing 4. I thought I was reading that wrong. We gotta stop. It's fun to be excited about this team, but like the victory lapping on Twitter, like, we're 4-2. How dare the NBA only have us ranked 14th in the power rankings? Dude, this team has not arrived yet. I said last stream, I still don't know what this team is. I think this team is definitely playing like caliber in the East. In the West, they're probably 9th, 10th seed, which is what I expected going into the year. They have to figure things out. And these are the things that I'll talk about in wins. These are the things I talk about in losses, because these are the things to look for from this team moving forward, right? It's one thing to just box score watch and say they're 5-5, and you'll take that. Sure, I would have taken that going into the season too, but they're turning over teams well, but they're also struggling when they're not. and you have Denny playing great. I think that's kind of masking this offense a little bit with his play so far this year. Because when he's not in the game, it's brutal. The lineup combinations are brutal. Like if you have to play Sissoko and Murray, do not play them together. I do not understand that at all. And the offensive system is there's some good moments in it, but I don't think it's enough, especially when it kind of falls apart. There needs to be a little bit more structure to fall back to, a little bit more of a foundation there. So that's the theme after the first 10 games this year.
So I want to bring up a comment in chat from Ryan. He says, Bane missed that shot and we're having a different conversation.
He should have never had the opportunity to take that shot in the first place. I was pissed before that shot because you had the ball with 5 seconds left with a chance to either win the game or go to OT, and you turned it over within 3 seconds, giving them enough time for that shot. That was a horrible mistake. So, yeah, great shot, but no, horrible mistake. They should have never had that opportunity.
And who knows, if he missed that shot, we're going into overtime, so it doesn't mean we won that game. But this goes along.
Teams, let me just say this before you go. Both these teams played bad tonight. Both these teams looked really bad tonight. Go on.
I mean, Orlando had a couple stretches where they looked pretty good, but they absolutely choked this game at the end as well. And I mean, we should have never even gotten a chance to win this game if we're honest. But that play, so that kind of mindset. So Ryan, I don't know how much you watch our show or whatever, but this is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm more worried about the process versus the result. And sure, we could have ended up winning this game, but that didn't mean that we didn't have a bunch of problems in this game and we played terrible and shot ourselves in the foot and didn't deserve to win this game several times. So like, this is the whole point of our channel, is pointing out how they are getting themselves into these situations, not necessarily just sitting here being like, yay, we won. Bane missed the shot at the end, or we didn't give them a chance to win, which would have been good. I mean, I would have much rather been hyped about a last second victory tonight or an overtime win and talking about some of the things we still need to improve on than talking about being 500 again. But the whole point is that the Blazers, if they're going to be a good team, they need to play better. And they can't have these excuses like, well, if Bane doesn't make that shot, like we might have won. Like, well, yeah, but why did you give him a chance to make that shot? And then go down the line of why this game got away from them at points and why they gave Orlando the lead several times, why Orlando controlled this game for the most part after we got ahead a little bit in the first quarter. So this is the type of stuff we like to talk about. We don't like to talk about, oh man, if we like I said, with the Thunder game, like I don't feel like we played particularly well against the Thunder. We did for a stretch at the end in the comeback to win the game, sure, and that was great. But like for the most part in that game, I don't think we played particularly well, and it's been kind of a theme this whole season. And we're like losing winnable games right now. It seems like self-sabotage a lot of these games between the lineups being weird, like you mentioned, the turnovers at inopportune times, the stagnation on offense when we're supposed to have this fast-paced offense, the amount of threes we take sometimes when we're not hitting threes, just the pure volume of continuing to fire away and not getting to the free throw line or going inside as much. So there's a lot of issues with this team, and it's, to me, watching the game play out is a lot different than what you described, Tori, and that's thinking about the season ahead of time, 5-5. Yeah, great. But this team is better than a 5-5 team, in my opinion. They are better than a 5-5 team. They are a team that should be, at this point, pushing for, whether we're talking about them not even having to play in the play-in, in my opinion. And I feel like they're kind of like resigning themselves to the fact that, oh, we're just going to, be this fledgling team all season and just kind of have some good games and have some bad games. And sure, they might still make the play-in, they might make the playoffs or whatever, doing it like this. But in my opinion, they've had opportunities to be better than this, and they just have not found a way to take advantage of it.
Yeah. They lost a game in which the Magic, I thought, played terribly.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think the Magic played well at all. On really either side of the court. And they haven't been playing well this year. They have not been playing well this year. They have been a pretty bad team so far this year. I think they turned around. Maybe this is the spark they need, a buzzer beater at home from Desmond Bane. But, like, their bench, you got Jonathan Isaac, Goga Batadze, Jet Howard, Tyus Jones only played 6 minutes, Tristan da Silva. They didn't play well, I don't think. But they were all positives. They were all positives when those guys were in the game. Plus minus wise.
What, 0 for 5 from 3 before that?
Yep, Bane finished 1 for 6 from 3, but they kind of let him get going off. They had, I think, 3 drives where they just over-pursued him on the perimeter and let him just easily drive by them to the rim. Okay, so their defense is better than that. This is what we're talking about. Like, this team is better than this. Their defense should be better than that. There's guys getting beat off the dribble in ways that they should not be getting beat off the dribble, and they're getting beat off the dribble because they're pressuring too high because that's their identity. We got to force turnovers. We got to pressure. I would rather them be a smart defensive team first and then extend out, pressure, whatever, because when your pressure gets beat, you have to rotate back, you have to scramble back defensively, and you have to do it smartly. And you can't just blindly pressure in all situations because you'll get beat. You have to know, all right, this is when I can press up on the guy, and then I got to be ready for him to drive baseline, right? But there was a couple possessions where there was like nobody towards the baseline. Desmond Bane's on the wing, and we're pressuring him towards the middle of the floor. Like the defender is shading towards the middle of the floor to pressure him because he's looking across the court, and he just spins back towards the baseline. There's literally nobody there, and he walks all the way to the rim. And that's just not knowing where your help is. That's not knowing the way the offense is set up, and just blindly pressuring to the wrong side of the player and giving him a wide open lane to the rim. There's details that this team is missing defensively right now that they shouldn't be missing. On paper, this defense is better than what they're playing like in the half court. And that's the frustrating part for me. The offense hasn't been particularly good, but they're still 5-5. We didn't expect the offense to be particularly good. We were hoping it can be average. It's still below average, especially in the half court. It's a bottom 10 offense. We told you the half court's going to be a problem. The thing is, it feels less like personnel because Drew has been better than I thought. Denny's been better than I thought. Sharp has struggled. But Sharp was great in this game, right? So it's not really as much of a personnel issue as I thought it might be going into this season, which is a good thing. I love the way Denny's playing. I love the way Drew's played, especially with Drew's passing. And he was 6 for 14 today, 13.7 assists. It's kind of what we expected him to average, and we're sitting here like, oh, Drew didn't play as well this game because he's been playing so freaking well. So it's the design of half-court offense is a problem. The lack of shooting is a problem. But what's funny to me is this isn't everybody that disagrees with me, but there's a group of people out there that will sit there and say, Joe Cronin's done an amazing job, all right? And I'm not going to sit here and argue whether he has or hasn't. I'm just going to point out the inconsistency of this logic. Joe Cronin's done a great job, but we should be happy that the team is 5-5 after playing a bunch of shorthanded teams on the second nights of back-to-backs and losing 3 of the 4, right? This is a really good roster. Okay, Joe Cronin is a genius, I've had people want to say. Yet we should be happy losing a game like this where the other team played like crap. Because, hey, we almost came back. Listen, if you wanna hype up how good of a roster this is, how good of a job Joe Cronin has done with this roster, you should be expecting this roster to provide more than what they're providing right now, in my opinion. Especially when, yeah, we can sit here and make injury excuses. The teams we're playing are dealing with losing more production via injury than we are right now. I just think that's a little inconsistent. I like this roster. They have a lack of shooting that needs to be addressed. We said it all offseason. Cronin didn't address it. Now we're playing City Sissoko with Chris Murray, with Donovan Clingan. Those lineups are clunky as hell. And, yeah, so that's an issue. But still, man, this team needs to play smarter. This team is not playing smart. And that's the most frustrating part for me.
So going back to the beginning of that, what you were saying, the pressuring thing. So from day one, the very first podcast we did on this channel after the draft stream, but when we started getting into actual shows and stuff like that, we talked about how we felt that the Blazers defense was too predictable and they're always doing the same thing. And to me, that's still an issue when it doesn't matter if you have a super pressuring defense or a drop defense, or if you do the same thing every time, teams will figure it out eventually. And I think part of the problem with the defense is when you pressure all the time, yes, it's annoying to the other team and can wear them down, but it's not wearing them down on the second night of a back-to-back. So what is it really wearing them down that much? Yeah. But you can adjust to the pressure when you know it's coming every time. You can then find ways to exploit it. The way pressure works, in my opinion, is when the other team isn't expecting it, like you blitz a screen that you haven't blitzed all year or something like that. When Banchero gets the ball at the top and Franz starts coming, double team Banchero right away, and like you haven't shown that double team much this year, right? Like just stuff like that, like randomly getting up on someone in a press situation. But when you press every time, then they know they have to beat the press down the court. But when you can catch them off guard and be like, oh, are they going to press this time or not, or whatever, like then you start to like get in their heads a little bit, and then you don't know if the pressure's coming or if they're going to play a base defense this possession or whatnot. So I think part of the problem with the amount of times they're pressuring is it's allowing the other teams to kind of figure it out within the game. And then if we don't create turnovers out of it, we're not good enough in the half court defense to like combat that. So in my opinion, they have to be a little bit more strategic about their pressuring and use it. They can still pressure a lot, but just don't do the same thing every time so other teams can then know how to attack it.
Yeah. And I fully agree. The problem is when you press all the time too, it becomes such a point of emphasis coming into games for other teams. You know you're going to get pressed all game. So it's like, all right, this is what we got to prepare for. And then they see it first possession. All right, this is what we prepared for coming into this game. We got to beat the press, and then we have numbers. All right, if I can beat this guy pressing me on the right side of the floor and get downhill, I have a shooter in the corner, right? I have somebody running with me, the guy trailing. And when you are consistently in that situation, it becomes easier as an offensive player to make reads and make the right decision and exploit it. If you're making different reads throughout the game because you're playing against different stuff, because, all right, they're pressing on some possessions or some stretches, and then, all right, we started exploiting it, and then Portland, let me phrase it this way. This is what Portland needs to do, okay? They need to pressure off and on throughout games as a part of their identity, right? I'm not saying they should go away from it. But when teams start to exploit it, or you're picking up a bunch of fouls because you're being too aggressive, that's when you fall back to just a solid base defense because you have the defenders for it, okay? And then all of a sudden, you're playing in the half court and maybe you switch up the pick and roll coverage. So instead of teams playing to beat the press and then playing off of the advantage that creates, now all of a sudden, all right, now they're playing in the half court and now, they're running ball screens. They don't know what look they're going to get on the ball screen. Because we're going to mix that up here and there. Especially when they go small, they should be blitzing these ball screens. That's how you can play aggressive and force turnovers in a different way where, all right, you blitz them, pick it up. All right, then the guy recovers. You're still in a solid defensive state. The problem is they press too much. They adjusted a little bit last game, and it was better. Like, there is times where it seems like they have adjusted out of it a little bit. But I feel like even in the half court, even when they're defending half court possessions, you got too many players that are being too physical and trying to pressure the ball too much to force these turnovers still. You got players that are gambling. There was a bucket the Blazers gave up because Drew Holiday just completely left his guy to try and chase the person at the top of the arc, even though he's 15 feet away. You know what play I'm talking about? Yep. Even though he's 15 feet away, going to go chase the ball to try and get a steal, try and get a back tap. Oh, he saw me coming because I was 15 feet away from him. Like, it wasn't like he was right next to me. Oh, now all of a sudden we don't know who we're guarding, and now we're confused, and then they get a wide open layup. Okay? That play is great when it works out, but when it doesn't, you're giving up wide open layups. And there's just too many plays right now where it's not really working out with their gambling in the half court. They're lunging at the ball one pass away to try and pick at the dribble or try and, force a turnover on the ball handler. So there's a lot of open threes one pass away. Smart players, I've seen it this season. You got a shooter to your side. Just drive at that guy's defender. He's going to jump in and you kick to the shooter and he has a wide open three. Or at the very least, you're at least forcing a closeout then, and you can attack that, and all of a sudden the defense is now in rotation and scrambling. It's just too easy to get the Blazers to get advantages against this Blazer defense due to the way that this defense is playing. So, on a night like tonight, they only scored 115 points. It's not too bad. They couldn't buy a three, and they're not a good shooting team, and they haven't been a good offensive team in years, right? So it's more so about the process for me is the problem right now, and the Blazers have to figure out how to be more solid defensively. Shoot, over the next few games, I would probably pressure New Orleans because they have a rookie point guard, but if they start picking apart, fall back. They need to work on their half-court defense. They need to work on being a more solid, fundamental defensive team in the half-court. They should not shy away from those possessions. They need to get better at that. Okay, so that when they aren't forcing turnovers, when the pressure isn't working, they have something they can fall back to where they can consistently execute half-court defense instead of whatever the hell we saw tonight for stretches.
Yeah, well, I only caught part of this. Thiago had an interview they played before the game, and he said something about I'm not a defensive genius or something of those. Maybe someone can find it or whatever, but like he also said he's trying to figure out the defense as well, and it really shows.
Yeah, well,
that also should be on Bjorkgren, right?
Yeah, I thought this was Bjorkgren's job, but this is also why I'm not coming in here like Thiago, like pissed off at Thiago, right? He's new, he got thrust into a situation he wasn't expecting. Andrew Wiggins hit a buzzer beater against the Cavs off a 3-foot alley-oop dunk, I think off an inbounds play with 0.4 remaining. So if only we had our game-winning backdoor alley-oop matter.
I mean, we should have.
That was a great finish and a great pass. That play was insane. Yeah. That's the other thing that makes it worse is like
it showed one good. Yeah,
that play should be the play we're talking about.
I have a question for you. So the play with 5 seconds left.
Yep.
So two ways this could go, right? Was the play to Shaden and Drew thought the other team read it to Shaden and did a fake handoff and then lost the ball? Or was it designed for him to fake it to Shaden and go? I wonder what the call was on that last play, because it felt like it probably should have gone to Shaden in that situation. He's probably could get a shot off with that one, but it just seemed kind of weird that was the play when he had such a nice design on the one prior to that.
Well, dude, it's like use the threat of Shaden as a backdoor lob threat on that play, just like you did with Grant, right? Because here's the thing. The play to Grant was a perfect example of you're forcing defenders to have to communicate and collectively make a decision on how to guard an off-ball screen, and they mess up and you get a layup out of it, an and one out of it, because you're making defenders make decisions. That's a point about the half-court offense from the Blazers, which is like dribble drive and then certain players cut and rotate, so you're trying to catch defenders with their head, like ball watching and open up cuts that way, that's all great, but you're not really forcing them to make decisions on how to defend screens. You're forcing them to essentially just pay attention to their man, to see man and ball, which is the most basic fundamental defensive thing. You got your arms out, one hand pointing towards the ball, one hand pointing to your man. You're looking in between. You're seeing your man out of your peripheral vision. You're seeing the ball out of your peripheral vision. You might glance, but you glance and then check back to your man, right? You're constantly looking at your man, especially if this is all the half-court offense is. I mean, there's other wrinkles and stuff that they do, but if with this being the dominant thing for the Blazers half-court offense, defenses come in, and that should be a point of emphasis to guard the Blazers. Like, every time they drive, here's our help side principles, our help side responsibility, right? Maybe it's, bottom guy helps, first pass that gets kicked out to the weak side. The guy left over there takes first pass, they X out if the pass is to the corner, etc. So that's your help side principles. But when you help, make sure that you keep an eye on your guy as well. Or the guy that's left on the weak side needs to communicate cutter, right? You're not forcing decisions. Grant was open on that backdoor lob because one guy was thinking switch and one guy wasn't. And Wendell Carter Jr. was late to switch. He was late to switch. He was the guy guarding the back screener. He was late to switch, which left Jeremy open enough to catch that pass and finish. Because you forced two defenders to make a decision. They weren't on the same page immediately. You got an opening. You got an advantage. You got a layup. Okay. The inbounds to Drew, I don't really like the play design because I think Sharp should be somebody that teams are worried about as a backdoor lob threat, especially because they just got hit by a backdoor lob to Jeremy. I think in that situation, you have Drew back screen for Shaden, so it's two smalls, and then you flash Drew to the mid-range around the baseline, and maybe you have Grant in the opposite corner, you know what I mean? You have the floor spaced, and if you can get Drew inside the arc and inbound pass, that's a great area for him to operate off of, and then you work some action off that, you have 5 seconds. Instead, it's like Drew screens for, I think it was Jeremy, and Jeremy kind of runs up towards half court. He's guarded, so then Drew just goes and gets the ball. And then he has multiple defenders around him, and then he turns it over. It just wasn't creative.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is this situation was different than the 11-second one in that I don't think you want a quick lob or a quick action to the basket. So Orlando might not – I mean, it'd be good to take the lead, obviously. But I think the mindset is have Shea pass the ball in and then come off a dribble handoff to get the ball. And then you waste a couple of seconds. He can dribble into the mid-range, pull up, and try to end the game on a last-second shot using up all 5 seconds. I think if you lob it – you risk them, like having a chance to win.
Well, here's what you say. Only throw the lob if you're 100% sure it's there. Otherwise, like, they're still going to have to defend that, and you get defenders that are worried about defending somebody going away from the ball instead of just towards the ball. They're worried about defending something at the rim.
But that's why I'm wondering why, if the play was designed for Sharp to get it and Drew saw something that made him try to turn that corner instead, because it felt like this was the type of game, give Shea a chance to win it type game.
I just think that's, I don't know. Like, the defender's already in a good position defending Shea on the inbounds already. So,
yeah.
Like, maybe Shea could have backdoored that. I don't know. They didn't execute. Like, if they executed, maybe it would have looked like a great play call. So, It's probably a little bit nitpicky here. Like, Drew just has to not turn over the ball there, so I'm fine just blaming him for that final possession.
I mean, Drew's made some incredibly tough shots this year too. So if that was the play for him to get isolated there and take a step back or try to get to the basket real quick, I have no problem with that either.
I've just seen the Blazers screw up so many late game inbounds where they just have like one guy run at the ball, he's guarded, and then another guy runs at the ball.
Yeah.
And that's what that reminded me of. I've seen that mistake so many times, or that play so many times under Chauncey, where it gets horribly executed. There's been 5-second calls because they can't inbound the ball because there's just two guys running at the ball and that's all the play is. And that, I'm sure that was in the playbook. I'm sure that was a play that was in the Chauncey playbook to start the season because that was a Chauncey play. Like, that was a Chauncey inbounds pass that we've seen not work time after time after time. And today it resulted in the Blazers turning over the ball when they had 5 seconds left in a tie game. So it's just like, I get the thought process, but we've seen that fail so many times before that I'm tired of seeing that. I'm tired of seeing that. This is where we need Dame.
Marv says he thinks Black fouled him on that. I don't know.
They're not calling that.
The one how did Denny not get an and one on that three?
Because it's the NBA.
Man.
Because it's the NBA. Shout out to Denny. Clutch threes down the stretch after he struggled all game. Watching what Denny had to deal with defensively, I felt bad for him this game. He just has all these non-shooters around him, and they're starting Anthony Black with Paulo, Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., and Desmond Bane. I guess Desmond Bane's their smallest player, and he's like 6'4", 6'5". And the paint was just completely packed all game long, and Denny's driving into multiple defenders. They have good defenders. Franz Wagner's a good defender that moves well and is 6'10", so I think the size made it a little tougher on Denny. But as well as just every time he drives into the paint, he's just running into multiple defenders, and it's like, it got me thinking, man, I wish we just had 4 shooters because our offensive system right now could probably just be Denny drive, and then if there's help, kick out, and we'll get a 3 from a good shooter, and if not, you'll probably score at the rim. Like, if we're gonna, if we're gonna run a simplistic offense, man, I kind of feel like that's
we
a
are
viable offense. Yeah, well, it's Denny drive, and then 3 guys will kind of move around out there, and 1 guy will cut, which is rough. But this is the point about they have to find shooting. They have to find shooting at the trade deadline. Hopefully they're still competitive enough by the trade deadline to be talking about them actually upgrading to make a playoff push. They have to get shooting. Hopefully Scoot Henderson coming back will provide them a little boost in the arm shooting-wise, spacing the floor, and then we know he will be capable of attacking closeouts for sure. I think Scoot will help this team a lot. But they have to have shooting, man.
Yep. I mean, we knew they needed shooting after the season ended last year, right?
Yeah. And they went 36% from 3. Let me see if the team stats are updated. There we go. They're 36% from 3, but the problem is not even necessarily the percentage. They could have went 40% from 3. The point still stands. There's too many guys you don't have to worry about shooting threes. There's too many guys.
Mm-hmm.
Too many guys. Chris Murray and Sidy Cissoko played 29 minutes combined today. Robert Williams made a 3, and Cissoko made a 3, but teams aren't worried about these dudes making threes. Robert Williams played 14 minutes. Klingon played 29 minutes. So those 4 guys combined played 24, 44, 72 minutes combined from Klingon, Rob Will, Cissoko, and Chris Murray. 72 minutes combined from guys that you don't have to worry about shooting threes. Just too many non-shooters in today's NBA. The floor needs to be spaced as much as possible for Denny Avdia right now, and it's not. And there's lineups where like Jeremy Grant is the only shooter next to him because he's playing with Sissoko and Chris Murray and Donovan Clingan. Like, out of those 4 players, there should never be lineups where 3 of them are on the floor at the same time.
And if they are, they should be running all kinds of off-ball stuff and not just camped at the three-point line like they were.
Chris Murray should be screening for Grant or Denny and then trying to slip those screens, because then you make his defender have to make a decision instead of just sit in the paint. And that's the problem with the offense around it. So, Sissoko and Murray should never share the floor together. Robert Williams and Clingan should never share the floor together. You can play one of Sissoko and Chris Murray with Rob Will and Clingan. Yes, there's 2 non-shooters on the floor, but at least one of the non-shooters is a center that can play in the dunker spot, play around the rim, finish plays. Mm-hmm. If you use them that way, instead of parking them behind the three-point line. Right? Like, we got Robert Williams shooting threes. We got Clingan shooting threes.
But like, our offense is designed for them to like be out there. It's so weird. I don't understand.
We also got to get breaks off of made shots too. 10 fast break points, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what it was last game, but they are not They're not getting fast break buckets. I mean, shoot, they made the same percent of shots as Orlando from the field, and Orlando had more fast break points, and this isn't a particularly good running team.
Well, what else that's doing is that's why we're not winning on when these other teams are tired. It's like I feel like if we're getting out and running more, they should be wearing these teams out, and they're not.
I don't like the mindset of like, we're going to wear teams out. They're professional athletes. And it's not like they're playing 48 minutes. You know what I mean? There's a bench for that reason. You're not – if your strategy is just we're going to wear out the other team to win in the best basketball league in the world, it's probably not the best strategy.
Agreed. But that seems to be their strategy. Right?
Feels like it. Here's a positive. We didn't draft De Silva. De Silva, this doesn't count this game, but De Silva on the season in 21 minutes was averaging 12 points per game on 44% from 3. De Silva actually would be great for this team. De Silva would be, I think, better in the Chris Murray role.
Well, you know who else would be better in the Chris Murray role?
Who's that?
I mean, do we have to mention his name again?
Oh, well, yeah, but... Yep. Nah, man, we need shooting, Joe. We need shooting. There's this kid. Played at D3 Willamette, but works his ass off and has improved so much. He went and played at Eastern Washington and then Washington State. He's been around the Northwest. 6'6", 7'2 wingspan, 7'3 wingspan, whatever the hell it is. Measurements comparable to Jalen Williams. He's a lights-out shooter. And plays defense, and passes, and can drive, and has great measurables. Nah, we don't need shooting. Let's go get a big man that shot 27% from 3 in China. Even though he's a drop big, and we just drafted a drop big last year. Even though we want to be competitive next year, and this guy's a multi-year project. Oh, and then when the Blazers Uprise guys are mad, people will give them crap. You know? Anyway. Tristan Da Silva would actually be perfect for the Chris Murray role. I think he's solid team defender. He's not amazing, but I think he's solid enough. He's 6'8", can play the 4, and is a really good shooter. Like, I just wish we had somebody that off the ball made teams worry about leaving open. I guess Jeremy Grant is the one guy. But just having a couple of those shooters, I feel like would open up this offense. And yeah, that little rant wasn't even necessarily anti-Young. It was more so what did the Blazers need and choose not to address. They chose not to address the shooting issue this year, and then they chose not to address the shooting issue this year, and then are choosing to shoot a bunch of threes, but also want to drive as much as any other team and are playing lineups with guys that can't shoot, so they're driving into a packed paint.
Yep.
That's a design flaw. That's a design flaw.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with not or liking or not liking Hansen, as he's fine. It's not.
It was just a weird pick, given what they had and what they needed. Yeah.
Just imagine how hyped we'd be right now if we had Coward averaging like 16 shooting.
If we had Coward,
40%.
We'd be at least 7-3.
Yeah.
I think we would have. Well.
No, we are.
I think we would have won this game. I think with how bad we shot last game, I feel like a couple of these close losses would be wins, for sure. Especially with the injuries. There was a comment earlier like, we need Thibault and Blake Wesley. But man, this defense should not rely upon a guy that we didn't expect to play number one, and then Matisse Thybulle, who is always hurt. Like, there's still a bunch of really good defensive players. Yes, those guys help if your identity is just to sell out for turnovers at all costs, but they should be much better in the half court defensively. They should be much better one-on-one defensively, Tamani Kamara especially, than they are right now, and that's not because we're missing Matisse Thybulle or Blake Wesley. The Suns are about to have a better record than us. You remember when it was like, wow, they suck and we're playing really well.
Are you worried about this Pelicans game at all now?
Is this Pelicans game a must-win? Like, no game is a must-win until the very end of the season, but, like, you're at 500.
I get what you're saying, though, yeah.
The Pelicans are about to be 2-8. They are currently down to the Phoenix Suns, 107-82. They probably won't have Zion. They're starting a rookie point guard who is still a pretty raw rookie point guard. They're playing a rookie big off the bench. Shoot, in this game, they're playing two rookies off the bench. They played Micah Peavy 11 minutes. He was a second-round pick. They have Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. Outside of that, it's like Kevon Looney, Sadiq Bey, Jeremiah Fears, Carlo Matkovich, Derek Queen, Jose Alvarado, Micah Peavy, and Jordan Hawkins. So the offense on that team is abysmal. This Phoenix Suns team has held them to 82 points with 6 minutes remaining in the fourth. So you know what we do? We should foul them and send them to the line 50 times so they can make 44 free throws. To help them out. Yes, he just scored 42 tonight. Yes, he did. Anyway.
I can't believe he's playing enough to score 40.
I know. Yeah, he's on the Wizards, though. I don't know if it's because I'm a fan of Denny, but don't you also think the right play is to give the ball to Denny?
I'm surprised they're playing him.
Oh, you're lagging. You are lagging, Eric. Anyway. You good? No?
I think I'm getting clapped. Hold on.
I think it's your internet.
Yeah, maybe.
Toss on Trent and triple-double. That was fun. I think you're better now. Yeah, I would have liked to have given Denny the ball at the end of the game. But Denny might have made the same mistake. So, Drew is somebody that you should be able to rely upon not to turn over the ball there, no matter what.
Oh, by the way, speaking of CJ, during the Blazer broadcast, they played a commercial promoting the next game against the Pelicans against old Blazer CJ McCollum.
Oh, I remember watching that and I didn't even notice. Wow. That's awkward.
Yeah.
No wonder the person in chat was confused.
Yep.
Got to be better than that, Blazer Broadcasting.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
I mean, that trade was like before the draft, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yikes.
Chris Walton says we're back in tankathon range after the Suns win. Just saying.
If we lose against the Pelicans, we'll do a tankathon. Because, yeah, like they have to beat the Pelicans, dude. They have to. 6-5, we can still say we're above 500. Then you got a cup game coming up against Houston. You can feel good after a win going into that game. Then they play at Dallas. Like you gotta win 2 of these next 3 games. You gotta find a way to get 2 wins on this road trip and go back above 500, 7-6. And then you got Phoenix, who's playing a lot better now, and you got Chicago, who's starting to struggle a little bit, but they just lost by 4 against the Spurs. The Bulls have had one of the hardest schedules in the league, so Phoenix and Chicago at home on a back-to-back is going to be very interesting games from 2 teams where we don't exactly know how good they are this year, but they have had some good stretches. Phoenix is on one right now. It would be really nice to bank 2 wins before those games because I feel like those are going to be pesky games that the Blazers could lose at home before going out on the road for 3 more games against Golden State, OKC, and Milwaukee.
Jakob says we were saying that against Nick Smith Jr. too. So, have you guys seen Nick Smith Jr.'s stat line in the games before and after that one?
I have not.
It's pretty funny.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Your half-court defense is letting him go off against you.
He's done nothing outside that one game against the Blazers. That's like oh man, why am I blanking on his name?
He didn't even play the night before.
Who is that shorter Mavericks guard?
Yogi Ferrell.
Yogi Ferrell. Yes,
yeah,
there you go. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, he's played in 5 games this year. 2 points on 1 for 5 in 20 minutes, his first game, which was against us. 7 points on 2 for 6 shooting in 10 minutes. And then against us, 25 points, 10 for 15 in 27 minutes. The game after that, 7 minutes, 2 points, 1 for 1. And the game after that, in 23 minutes, 3 points, 1 for 8. On the season, he's averaging 8 points per game, but he's only scored more than 7 points in one of those 5 games.
Yay.
He also had 6 assists that game, so you literally just let him pick you apart.
Blazers basketball.
Oh, man. This game really frustrated me. I want so badly for this team to be like competitive and good and to come here on post-game shows, have exciting post-game shows, talking about how this team did some fun stuff, and there's still stuff we have to build out here with the post-game shows, and it freaking crushes me to have to come on here and talk about the way they lost a game like this, dude. It makes me more frustrated because I think that I cover the team and I have to sit here talking about, oh yeah, we turned over the ball with 5 seconds remaining in a tie game. Instead of talking
giving
about
up a straight line drive to the basket and then fouling him.
It's so stupid. Like before that straight line drive to the basket, I was sitting there saying, I'll literally talk to my TV a little bit. I was sitting there saying, no threes, no and ones. No threes, no fouls. Okay? If they have a play at the rim, either let them have the layup or only foul them if you make sure. I told my girlfriend that before the play. Like, in this situation, don't want to give up threes. Don't want to foul. If you do foul, you have to make sure that they don't get an and one. And then I just watched Paulo Banchero walk to the rim, get to the rim, finger rolling the ball at the rim, and get fouled for the easiest and one of his career. And yeah. And then, of course, Desmond Bane hits that, man. That's an insane shot, but also, of course, that goes in.
Yeah.
Of course, that goes in. But yeah. Trevin, I was looking good, but these final games is not looking so bright. Anyway. Eric is why should it have been 3.5? Because of the final?
That's what it was when you texted me to send the picks. It was 3.5.
Well, we post the polls at 3.
Fine.
Yeah. Yep. So at least the Blazers allowed them to cover. Bryce McGowan's going for 34 points on Wednesday. Yeah, dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine? That is a must-win for the Blazers in my mind. You gotta win against the Pelicans, who are maybe the worst team in the West. They are the worst team in the West. Utah's better than them. Dallas is just lost by 2 against Milwaukee. But yeah, the Pelicans are literally bottom feeders. They are bottom feeders. You have to find a way to win that game. No excuses afterwards. Win that game. Hope you can beat the Rockets so we can have some fun in the NBA Cup. If not, you then got a game against the Mavericks to win. Just want to win one of those next 2, and at least you go 2-3 on the road trip. That is where we're at right now. And then
We
you come
listen to
home.
Thiago.
Sure. Yeah, I would love to.
I haven't heard his interview.
I would love to listen to what he had to say about the execution in those final seconds.
We just didn't make shots.
We made 36% of our threes.
I know.
Yeah. He can't really use that excuse today. So all right, let me search Portland Trail Blazers. Two-minute interview? That's it? All right. Here's Thiago talking about this masterful loss.
Details. You make, you miss. Part of it.
Whoops. Let me put that's not Thiago. Kind of look like a Thiago looks like a younger you. You know. There we go.
It's like my age.
Is he?
I'm gonna look this up.
He's like 39, I thought. 40? No, he's probably
He's 40.
40.
Okay. All right.
All these young coaches, though, you know. There's a lot of young coaches, I feel like, in the league now, which is cool. He's one of them. Myers Leonard in disguise. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, here's what he had to say.
Details. You make, you miss. Part of it.
Okay, let me just say, 4 seconds in, not only did this clip start in the middle of the interview, the first thing I hear is, you make, you miss, it's part of it. So I love that. Anyway, I will play the whole 2-minute thing now.
Yeah, that was one of the options. It worked out. But like I said, that's credit to Tumani pass and JG to catch it. I mean, that's it.
Coach, your Blazers team has a lot of heart. Just talk a little bit about this ball club. You guys are banding together and just competing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that I promised when I got here, right? Like, we're gonna compete. and that's what the guys are doing. Now, you're going to win, you're going to lose some games. We got to stay together. It's part of this game. It's a long season. But this one was hard. This one was hard.
Coach, we know that Hansen Young is adjusting to the NBA pace. So what steps would you like to see from him as he works his way to the rotation?
Oh my
How has
goodness.
he been progressing so far from your point of view?
He's doing a good job. He's not just on the court, but doing also extra cardio, extra weights, just getting ready for, whenever he's called up to go there and perform. The kid is working. I give him credit.
Really appeared like Shane offensively took the game over, put the team on his back. Does that show some growth in his game?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first game that I thought that he was really himself and being aggressive, getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line. And he shot. I don't know what he shot today, but, looks better. More, his legs are under the shot. So hopefully we have Shea like this for a long time.
Okay.
So, was that the first question in the interview, or did we really just not get basically any basketball? Dude.
So I'm telling you, there's media there that's just there to ask about Young Hansen no matter what. We don't even get a question about. Yeah, we don't even get a freaking question in this clip about the two awful late game things. I mean, maybe they asked it before it got cut, but dude. Wait, listen. Every post-game interview, doesn't matter what happened in the game. Got to have a question about Young Hansen, and we got to have a question about how hard we try. We try really hard every game, right, Tiago?
Man, that is so annoying after a loss like that at the buzzer to be asked about, oh, you're really banding together and playing hard. Wow, what do you think about your team, like, to playing so well? Like, shut up, dude. Who asked that question? That guy,
Who did ask that question, Chad?
And then
let's link arms and sing Kumbaya after getting a walk-off buzzer beater against us because we can't take care of the ball with 5 seconds left.
And ask the Young questions in the pregame interview with him, not the freaking postgame interview after. Like, oh,
can't respond to the Blazers Uprise guys though when they request credentials. Can't do that, They might ask a question about like, is Shane Sharp still on a minutes restriction, or like, what happened there at the end of the game when you turned over the ball with 5 seconds left? Can't have those questions. I'm sure that one of those questions was asked before that clip started, but yeah, that's what we get, man. That's what we get. I mean, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be traveling to Orlando, but who asked the question about the freaking effort though? Was that I'm sure it was. Maybe it was Casey. I don't know.
man.
But
It
you see what
sounded like it might have been someone who wasn't like a typical Blazer reporter.
Maybe. I don't know.
This is a road. Yeah.
Was it? I don't think it was Casey.
No, I don't think so.
But basically it's, you understand my frustrations, chat, with like, there's a lot of questions that are used to just craft as positive a narrative as you can. You just completely fumbled a game at the end, but we try really hard, right? Like you said, the guys are going to compete. You guys competed, huh? It's just silly to me. Like those questions are just force feeding a narrative. And we've had questions earlier this year you've seen me react to where it's like basically, something happens and you can make excuses. So the question from the media will be essentially making an excuse and saying, made an excuse as to why something happened, then saying like, essentially that's how it is, right, Tiago? Like, I forget the example, but I'm sure if you guys know what I reacted to it earlier this season, so if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. It's just like so many questions just to try and craft a narrative instead of like, is Shaden Sharp on a minutes restriction? Because if not, him playing 29 minutes today was freaking ridiculous, okay?
Yeah, it should be. Is he still on a minutes restriction, or why do you feel like he should only be playing 29 minutes in a game where he was absolutely cooking and at times was the only offense on your team?
Yeah. And if he is on a minutes restriction, and say as a media member, we knew that going in. Tiago, how hard was it to not play Shaden more, given that he was awesome today? You know? But no, that's a hardball question. So anyway, I don't know. Love it. That was a funny press conference.
Yeah, nothing we wanted to hear from him.
It's, I think, so like insane though to be asking him about young Hansen in a bunch of post-game press conferences that he doesn't play, especially after a loss like this. It's,
I mean, you could see his frustration with it too.
yeah. It's kind of like, it's almost disrespectful. It's almost disrespectful, in a way.
Well, I think what it is that these people are here covering the team, and now he's not playing at all. At least in the first few games, he was playing a few minutes so they could justify it. But now,
I get it
like,
from their end, but yeah.
How do you justify like being a reporter from China on covering the Blazers and not like for why? Like, he's not playing. So.
The post-game press conference is to talk about the game that just happened, not we compete and the guy that didn't play. Anyway. He needs to go down and play with the remix as soon as possible, and they can go cover the remix. And the remix can get some love.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about him playing 30 minutes game on the remix.
Yeah, that'll be good for Young. That'll be good for the people that are covering Young. That'll be good for Tiago that then... Well, maybe they still show up to Blazer games. I don't know. And ask, hey, you know what? You'd probably get 3 questions to Tiago about how Young played in last night's remix game after the NBA game. So I don't know if it would get better, but anyway. Shout out Sleeper.
Man.
Shout out Sleeper. Use code Uprise. Go ahead.
I know Tiago has to act professional in that situation, but man, I'll say it for him. Why are you asking him about how good your team chemistry is after you just freaking lost a heartbreaker game, dude? Like, that's such a stupid, brain dead moment question, you know, or statement. He didn't even really ask a question.
Yeah, it gives off like middle school basketball vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not all about winning. It's about being together and playing as a team. That's what matters more than winning. Like, that life lesson for a middle school kid, you know? And then you have the parent after the game like, hey, my kid didn't play much, didn't play at all. What about my kid? And that's young Hansen. Like, that's the vibes. That's the vibes that gave me. It's just like, this is a professional team we're talking about. These are that's a press conference. That's quite a press conference. Anyway, I wonder how many new people were like, came on board after a hot start. I put out the videos. A lot of them were positive, and maybe this is their first time seeing a frustrated post-game stream. Wonder what they're thinking. If you're in chat, let me know what you're thinking. If that applies to you, let me know what you're thinking. But, you know, Welcome into the Blazers Uprise experience. We will be super excited when this team does good stuff, and we will be super frustrated when they fumble a game with 2 awful plays in crunch time.
Yep.
Anyway, can't wait till Scoot's back. When Scoot's back, hopefully that'll mean the end of Sissoko minutes, and that'll be another shooter that we need that will fit into the offense and help us play at a fast pace. I saw somebody say around Thanksgiving. I'll take that. Thanksgiving is in, let's see.
2.5 weeks.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 games between now and Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah. Just make sure he's healthy. I don't want a Jalen Green situation. I don't know if you saw what happened there,
No.
but he played 1 game, had a great game. Then his second game re-injured his hamstring and is now out a long time. So
How long is he out?
I don't know if they've announced yet though, but I think he re-strained it or retore it.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Grayson Allen had 42 tonight
Nice.
on 17 shots. So he had 4 less points than Cade Cunningham on 28 less field goal attempts.
That must have been who David Yu was talking about when he said, Tori, guess who else had 42 tonight or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 10 for 15 from 3. Wouldn't it be nice to have a role player that could just go like 10 for 15 from 3? God, we need a shooter, man. We just need a pure shooter. I'll take Grayson Allen on this freaking team at this point. God, man. Keon Ellis. Like, a lot of people always dream about trading for stars. I'm dreaming about trading for a bench shooter that I'll be happy with Grayson Allen. I'll throw a celebration if we traded for Keon Ellis.
You know, who's another name we've never talked about, but I think might be available.
Kevin Huerter?
No, not Kevin Huerter. But, I mean, he qualifies, I guess. But Grady Dick.
He might be available.
He's only playing about 15, 16 minutes a game.
Yeah, because
Shooting
he traded for Ingram.
39% from 3, but has been brutal inside the arc. But that, and obviously isn't good at defense either. But that might be the type of guy you could maybe get for cheap.
He's just a career 36%er. He's 39% this year on a small sample, but last year was 35%. I would kind of want.
Yeah.
I like him because he's a young player with potential, but
the spacing has been I'm just saying like a buy low shooter that still, because I was reading some stuff from some Raptors people I follow, and they were all saying that he's still being like respected as a shooter on the perimeter. So
yeah.
And then we could make Grady Dick jokes all the time. That's why I want him.
Oh, I'm sure.
No,
Kevin Huerter's 3-point percentage has fallen off a cliff. Maybe that's not a guy. He's 32% this year. Although he had a good game tonight. But, yeah, like, find shooting, please. Please find some freaking shooting on this team, man. Anyway, let's talk about Sharp. Let's talk about Sharp and Denny, and then we'll wrap up this postgame. Because we're almost 2 hours in anyways.
yeah.
Shane Sharp looked good today, man. 18 field goal attempts, only 5 were threes. Look at him. When he only shoots 5 threes, he goes 3 for 5 because he takes good threes. He made a tough step back, but, takes some good threes. He's 3 for 5. Instead of his normal 1 for 8. I'll take 3 for 5 over 1 for 8.
Did you think that should have been a goaltend?
It was close.
I felt like it was going down, but if you just look at it, I feel like there wasn't enough to overturn what the call on the court was. So I felt like it was too close to
Yeah, but I
like
think they called it so that they could go review it. I don't know if they actually believe in that call.
true, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I felt like it had hit its peak and was heading slightly down. I don't think it was going anywhere near the basket. It wasn't going to go in, so maybe that's.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it was getting to the hoop, but
This was a great game from him. He was really good slashing downhill. This was also like just microwave scorer type of game from him too. You know, he didn't really do anything else other than score the ball, which was great. They needed scoring tonight. You know, 1 assist.
how many rebounds did he have?
3.
Oh,
He had 31 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover. He took care of the ball. Like if he's not going to be creating for anybody else, at least take care of the ball, which he did that today. 12 for 18 from the field. He attacked downhill, man. It was good. He finished.
I feel like though that like he hit a couple mid-range shots, and I felt like that kind of opened up his game, and he got back downhill a little easier because defense don't know if he can pull up, and that's why we've been saying we want him to shoot a few of those just to make the defense honest and have to like guard him, and I think that did allow him to go into the basket a little easier.
Yeah,
but he's back to the last few games. He's quietly been back to finishing really well around the basket, and hopefully that trend's going to continue.
Yep, agreed. Denny, it felt like he couldn't do anything in the first half. Look up at the end of the game, and he has 27 points, 5 assists, 5 boards on 18 field goal attempts. Like, this is how you know Denny's a star this year. Is it feels like, man, he's not doing anything today, and then at the end of the game, he has 27 points. Anyways, like, damn, this dude's actually going to average 25 or 26 points per game this year, huh? 7 for 18 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3. He was 3 for 9 aside the arc, but I mean, he got to the line 10 times, so that was good. And then the defense that he had to drive into today, not easy. Not easy. So, and he hit 2 clutch threes as well. Like, you're a star when you start hitting tough clutch threes. There was one that he got fouled on, I thought. So he's starting to do that, man. Like, he's arrived. Everything he's doing is sustainable. Because, like, even against a tough, lengthy defense tonight that he was struggling with and didn't really...
So you did think he got fouled on that?
I do think he got fouled on that, absolutely.
I asked you about that earlier and you didn't say anything.
No, I said I agreed with you. But, yeah. You know, it's a great game from him, despite starting so slow. So, let's do a player of the game poll. This will be a good one. There's only 2 options that go in this poll. All right, there's only 2.
There's 3.
Who's the third?
Ben Caro for missing those free throws.
On art list.
Oh yeah.
Just kidding.
Man, he was not clutch. Sharp missing those couple of clutch free throws was a bummer, for sure. Anyway, we'll end off the stream with player of the game poll. Man, this game was a bummer. This would have been such a nice win to have, knowing you played like crap all game and still found a way to win, and found a way to be 6-4. It's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. These are the types of games at the end of the year. There's already multiple games that at the end of the year we can look back on and be like, dude, should have won that game, should have won this game. We're back in the mode of a team that's, this is how you know we're out of tank mode, man. Well, maybe at the end of the year it'll be, wow, I'm glad we found a way to fumble that game. Hopefully not. Better not. Hopefully we're not tanking, but this loss looks really good at the end of the year if we're tanking. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
At least we play the Pelicans next, but also I'm kind of scared. Please beat the Pelicans.
Yeah.
It's gonna be within a 5-point game at halftime. Watch. Like, can this team blow out an opponent on the road? Is this team good enough to blow out an opponent on the road?
We're going to have to show some grit at the end.
Like, these close games are fun, but also I'm getting freaking tired. I want us to just blow somebody out and just enjoy a blowout win. Anyway. Player of the game poll, it's Shea. Okay, 76% of the vote. Cool. Anything else, Eric?
Congrats, Shay. Is that the first one of the season?
Yep.
Nice. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll, of course, be back Wednesday after that game. Hope to see you all there. And hopefully we can talk about a Blazer easy victory because this team, I think, really needs to not be in a close game for once.
Yeah. Greg says, I'm amazed by our schedule. We're even 500 so far. Yeah, if you just looked at our opponent without seeing who they had out, absolutely. But given it's like we played 4 straight teams on second nights of back-to-backs. We were 1-3. The Heat were missing their 2 best players. The Lakers were missing their 3 best players. The Thunder were missing arguably 4 of their top 6 players, including their second and third best player. Like, Blazers have gotten some luck with this, and they've kind of squandered what was a golden opportunity after starting 4-2. To go 1-5 after that is not good. But hopefully the Pelicans will be the medicine they need to get back on the right track. I love how Eric gets collab cammed right when I'm in the intro. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the like on the way out of here. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Use promo code Uprise on Sleeper to get in on picks. There's the code on your screen right there. And
that was a collab cam.
That was a collab cam. Yeah, I think when you lag, I think it's just internet issues. But yep, lots of things had issues tonight. The Blazers had some issues. You got to find a way to at least get to overtime when you have the ball in a tie game with 5 seconds left. No way around that. If you're up 2 and Paulo Banchero has a straight line drive to the rim and there's no way you're going to stop him from getting to the rim, you don't foul him for an and one. It's just basic basketball stuff right here, man, that the Blazers completely failed today. But you know what? At least they tried. Anyway, we're out of here. Have a good rest of your Monday nights. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!